The Krell Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 cycles, and in that time they had perfected the art of subjugation. Their warships, massive constructs of dark matter and crystalline technology, cast shadows across entire star systems. No species had ever challenged their supremacy and survived. Bella stood at the observation deck of the Eternal Sentinel, her fingers pressed against the transparent aluminum viewport. The stars streaked past in brilliant lines as the ship hurtled through hyperspace at velocities that would have seemed impossible to her ancestors. She was young by the standards of her people, barely 30 standard years, but her eyes held the weight of centuries. The cryosleep had preserved her body, but her mind carried memories from before the long darkness. "Systems check complete," Leo's voice crackled through her neural implant. "We're approaching the designated coordinates. 7 hours until we drop out of hyperspace." Bella turned from the viewport and made her way through the corridor toward the command center. The Eternal Sentinel was one of humanity's last colony ships, launched during the final desperate years before the Krell discovered Earth. She had been in cryosleep for 473 years, along with 10,000 other humans scattered across a dozen vessels hidden throughout the void. The command center hummed with quiet energy. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing tactical data, star charts, and real-time feeds from reconnaissance drones. Leo sat at the primary console, his augmented eyes glowing faintly blue as he processed streams of information that would overwhelm an unenhanced human mind. "Status report," Bella said, settling into the captain's chair. Leo's fingers danced across the haptic interface. "Long-range scans confirm it. The Krell have established a mining operation in the Terrorized system. Population estimates suggest 50,000 enslaved beings from at least a dozen species. Standard Dominion occupation force, 3 destroyers, 1 dreadnought, orbital defense platforms." Bella felt something cold settle in her chest. 50,000 slaves. The number was almost incomprehensible, yet it was merely a footnote in the Krell's empire of suffering. "What about the others?" she asked. "The Prometheus and Odyssey report ready status. Captain Martinez confirms his ship will be in position within 6 hours. The Odyssey is running silent, already in system." Bella nodded slowly. 3 ships against a Krell occupation force. By conventional military doctrine, it was suicide. But humanity had never been conventional, and 4 centuries of preparation had given them advantages the Krell couldn't imagine. "Wake the combat teams," she ordered. "All personnel to battle stations in 4 hours." Leo hesitated, his enhanced eyes focusing on her. "Bella, you know what this means. Once we engage, there's no going back. The Krell will know humanity survived. They'll hunt us across every system." "They've been hunting us for 500 years, Bella replied quietly. "The only difference is that now we're ready to hunt them back." The Tertius system burned with the light of twin stars, their combined radiation creating a harsh but resource-rich environment. The Krell had carved massive mining installations into 3 of the system's planets, extracting rare elements that powered their vast war machine. From orbit, the planets looked wounded, scarred by industrial excavation on a planetary scale. Bella stood in the Sentinel's Combat Information Center, now wearing her combat exosuit. The armor was a masterpiece of human engineering, nanocomposite plating that could withstand directed energy weapons, integrated shield generators, and a neural interface that made the suit an extension of her own body. "All ships report ready," Leo announced. He stood beside her, similarly armored, his tactical officer designation glowing on his shoulder plates. "Stealth systems engaged. The Krell haven't detected us." "Prometheus and Odyssey confirm weapons hot," another officer reported. "Drone swarms deployed and awaiting your command." Bella pulled up the tactical display. The Krell dreadnought hung in orbit above the primary mining world, a monstrous vessel 3 kilometers long. Its weapons could reduce a continent to molten slag. The destroyers patrolled the system's periphery, their sensors sweeping for threats that they assumed would never come. The Krell had grown arrogant. 3,000 cycles of unchallenged dominance had made them complacent. "Execute Ghost Protocol," Bella commanded. The Sentinel's quantum computers began their work. Humanity had spent centuries studying Krell technology, analyzing every fragment recovered from their automated scouts, decoding their communication protocols. What the Krell didn't know was that their own technology had become their greatest vulnerability. Across the system, invisible signals propagated at faster-than-light speeds. The Krell sensors began reporting ghost contacts, phantom ships appearing and disappearing, phantom energy signatures, cascading false positives that overwhelmed their processing capacity. "Krell destroyers are breaking formation," Leo reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "They're investigating the false contacts." "Drone swarms advancing," another officer called out. "Target lock acquired on orbital defense platforms." Bella watched the tactical display like a chess master observing a board. The Krell were powerful, but they fought with predictable patterns. Humanity had learned to fight differently. "All ships weapons free. Execute strike pattern Delta 7. The Sentinel dropped its stealth field and opened fire. Electromagnetic rail guns accelerated projectiles to relativistic speeds, each round carrying the kinetic energy of a tactical nuclear weapon. The Prometheus and Odyssey emerged from their hiding positions, their own weapons blazing. The first Krell destroyer never had a chance to return fire. Railgun rounds punched through its shields and armor, tearing through critical systems. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as antimatter containment failed. The drone swarm struck next, thousands of autonomous combat units, each no larger than a human fist but carrying enough explosive power to cripple a capital ship. They swarmed the orbital platforms like metallic locusts, overwhelming point defense systems through sheer numbers. "Dreadnought is turning toward us," Leo warned. "Energy spike detected. They're charging their main cannon." Bella's fingers flew across her neural interface. "Evasive pattern Omega. Deploy countermeasures." The Sentinel twisted through space with impossible agility for a vessel of its size. Human inertial dampening technology, refined through centuries of research, allowed maneuvers that would pulp organic crews in Krell ships. The Dreadnought's main cannon fired, a beam of concentrated exotic particles that could cut through a moon. It missed the Sentinel by 300 meters, a near miss at interstellar combat ranges, but still a miss. "Their targeting computers can't compensate for our acceleration curves," Leo said, grinning fiercely. "They're used to fighting species that can't handle more than 6 Gs. "Prometheus reports successful strike on Destroyer 2, communications announced. "Odyssey engaging Destroyer 3. Bella pulled up the Dreadnought's tactical profile. It was wounded. The drone swarms had damaged its shield generators, but far from defeated. The massive ship was turning, bringing its secondary batteries to bear. "Leo, do we have firing solution on their reactor core?" "Calculating. Yes, but we'll need to drop shields to generate enough power for a penetrating strike." Bella didn't hesitate. "Do it. All power to forward rail guns, single synchronized salvo." The Sentinel surged forward, closing the distance to the Dreadnought. Krell weapons hammered against its armor, but the ship's advanced composition held. For 10 seconds that felt like an eternity, the Sentinel flew directly into the Dreadnought's firing solution, its shields offline, channeling every joule of power into its main weapons. "Firing," Leo shouted. 4 rail guns fired in perfect synchronization. The projectiles, each weighing 10 tons and traveling at 0.95 light speed, struck the Dreadnought's reactor housing within nanoseconds of each other. The explosion was magnificent and terrible. The Dreadnought's antimatter reactor breached containment, and for a brief moment, A miniature star bloomed in the Tertius system. When the light faded, nothing remained but expanding plasma and debris. Silence fell across the command center. All Krell vessels destroyed, an officer reported quietly. Orbital platforms offline. We're detecting distress signals from the mining installations. Bella let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Open a channel to all frequencies, all languages. She stood straighter, addressing not just her crew but every enslaved being in the system. People of Tertius, this is Captain Bella of the human vessel Eternal Sentinel. The Krell occupation of this system has ended. You are free. We are humanity and we have returned to this galaxy. To every species suffering under Krell tyranny, know this. You are not alone. Help is coming. The age of the Dominion is over. Leo stepped beside her, his expression serious. You know what happens next. The Krell will send everything they have against us. Bella smiled, and it was not a kind expression. Good, let them come. They terrorized this galaxy for 3,000 years, but humanity awoke from cryosleep, Leo, and we brought nightmares with us. Through the viewport, she could see the mining installations below, where 50,000 beings were processing the reality of their freedom. 3 ships had freed one system. Humanity had 100 more ships, and every one carried humans who had spent 4 centuries preparing for this moment. The Krell Dominion had ruled the galaxy through fear. But they had never faced a species that turned fear into fuel, that transformed desperation into determination, that could sleep for centuries and wake up ready for war. They had never faced humanity. And now, finally, the galaxy would learn what humans meant when they said, "Never again."